What do you think when you have two different hospitals telling you that your child may have been abused?
I feel devastated. I feel heartbroken. I feel helpless.
A child hurt at the babysitter's house and a mother's search for truth. We're on your side with what you need to know to protect your children.
Tonight, Brooks Jarose investigates an allegation of child abuse, empowering you to take action, but also showing you the limitations, Brooks.
Well, we looked at all of the child care centers in the state of Ohio, and there are roughly 7,755. But of that, only close to 90 are licensed as a home daycare. Now, many aren't required to be. That means you have to do your own background work to trust your child is safe.
My first thought was just something's not right.
A toddler bruised.
I mean, my stomach just dropped when I saw him.
A mother's guilt.
I was in shock, almost like I just...
And a babysitter's explanation Elizabeth Mezzi didn't believe. Her son Maddox apparently pushed so hard into a coffee table by the babysitter's toddler while the babysitter was attending to other children.
It didn't look like something a 2-year-old could do.
The babysitter texting, explaining how she also punished her child after claiming he pushed Maddox. I spanked him 3 times where it left handprints. But then, 3 hours later, more text messages of another injury. This time, she said Maddox was bitten on the ear.
I just think about what he probably went through inside his head. You know, I think about that I wasn't there to protect him.
Do you blame yourself for that?
And not knowing and hoping it's not abuse, I mean, it's just a really difficult situation for parents to be in.
Mariam Mohammed is the director of child advocacy centers in Ohio. She says it's important to look for the signs of abuse, like unexplained or chronic bruising, especially on the soft parts of the body. With Maddox, the babysitter alerted his mother, but that's not always the case. One of the worst effects on children, Mohammed says, is when suspected child abuse goes unreported.
We want to make sure that that child is not put at any more risk, is not going to have any post-traumatic symptoms, is going to be receiving the mental health and victim services that they actually need towards healing.
Before that day, Maddox's parents never saw any physical injuries. They took him to a Knox County hospital. The exam, doctors say, proved suspicious for abuse, and a recommendation Maddox be evaluated at Nationwide Children's Hospital. Doctors found moderate bruising and bite marks, and with multiple stories of how the injuries happened, the hospital referred the abuse report to Knox County Children's Services.
I think about it every single day.
Over the next few weeks, police and children's services investigated. According to this police report, the detective believed the babysitter who cooperated with the investigation was truthful when she denied causing the toddler's injuries. Still, given the gravity of the incident, the report was sent to the prosecutor.
Show me the puppy. Good job.
Meanwhile, Maddox has returned to a life at home. Then in March, a letter from Children's Services about the report of possible child abuse. Knox County confirming the medical evidence and substantiating that physical abuse had occurred. Our calls to the babysitter weren't returned, and no one came to the door. So we went straight to the prosecutor for answers.
How seriously do you take a case like that?
These are cases we take very seriously, and we try to react to them as quickly as we can.
Prosecutor Chip McConville says just in Knox County, more than 24 reports of child abuse are reviewed every year for potential criminal charges. In Maddox's case, no charges were filed against the babysitter.
And we have to look at whether or not we can prove a crime was committed.
In one case in Mount Vernon, prosecutors proved a baby's burns could not have been an accident. It was so bad, the 5-month-old's leg had to be amputated. The mother's boyfriend, who was watching the baby, was convicted and is now in jail. That's unlike Maddox's case, where the injuries weren't considered severe, and how it happened is open to question.
There were some good-sized bruises on this child's face.
Still, the prosecutor says with children too young to speak and only the babysitter's explanation, there's no definitive way to know what actually happened to cause the injuries in question. It's a common issue in cases involving allegations of abuse.
So it comes down to a proof issue.
It absolutely comes down to a proof issue.
To avoid questionable situations, there are ways to better protect. Consider having at least 2 adults babysitting small children, especially when there are several children present. And find out how a caregiver will monitor the interactions between them. Vet caregivers and child care centers. That can be done online through the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. Request background checks and manage children's internet exposure and whom they're interacting with.
Where's the tree? Good job.
Maddox is healed and healthy now, but it hasn't erased the images his mom thinks about every day.
That just makes it even harder. That I probably will never know exactly what happened.
Since last summer, we found 87 child care centers have been closed or licenses revoked, suspended, or awaiting a hearing decision because of serious safety violations. Now, you can check out your child's daycare by going to abc6onyourside.com and clicking on this investigation. I'm Brooks DeRose. 6 on Your Side investigates.
Very interesting.